The last message from Captain Jake Morrison came on a Tuesday morning at exactly 0847 Galactic Standard Time, and nobody in the Galactic Federation knew it would be the final human transmission they would ever receive. Jake stood on the bridge of the Aurora watching the strange purple nebula that stretched across the view screen like spilled paint against black canvas, and he felt something was different about this mission. Though he could not say what exactly made his skin crawl with unease, the communication officer, Lieutenant Kelly Brooks, turned from her station with a routine smile and told Jake that the weekly report to Federation Command was ready for transmission, and Jake nodded while still staring at the swirling colors outside. That seemed almost alive in their movement. Federation Command. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the human vessel Aurora reporting from Grid Section 77 Alpha in the Andromeda Outer Rim, and all systems are functioning normally with crew. Morale high and mission parameters on schedule with estimated completion in 14 standard days. The message traveled through subspace relays across thousands of light years, reaching the massive communication hub on Nexus Prime, where Admiral Lisa Carter sat in a boring diplomatic meeting with representatives from 17 different alien species, discussing trade routes and territory disputes. Lisa barely glanced at the routine human status reports that appeared on her datapad, because she had received thousands of similar messages over the years, and nothing about Jake Morrison's transmission seemed unusual or urgent. The Veltar Delegate General Thakmor was speaking loudly about human expansion into what his people considered traditional hunting grounds, and his forearms gestured wildly as he complained about human colonies spreading too quickly across the Outer Rim territories. Dr. Zen Vorthak from the scholarly Kethani species adjusted his 6 eyes to focus on Lisa and suggested that perhaps humans needed better oversight since they seemed to claim planets faster than any other Federation member could properly survey. Lisa defended human exploration rights with practiced diplomatic language while secretly checking her chronometer and wishing the session would end so she could return to her quarters and review the latest reports from human space. 3 days passed with normal communications from human colonies and ships, reporting routine cargo deliveries, mining operations, and scientific surveys, until suddenly on Friday morning the silence began. The first sign of trouble came when the automated beacon from New Terra Colony failed to transmit its daily status update, and the communications technician specialist Gary White assumed it was simple equipment failure. By noon, 6 more human outposts had missed their scheduled check-ins, and Gary started. Feeling nervous as he ran diagnostics on the subspace relay network, finding no technical problems, Admiral Carter received an urgent message while having lunch with the Kethani ambassador, and she excused herself to read the report that made her blood run cold, with its simple statement that all human colonies in Sector 9 had gone silent. Gary White worked through the night running every test he could think of, and by morning he had to report that 37 human settlements had failed. To respond to communication attempts, the Federation Council met in emergency session with representatives arguing loudly about what could cause such widespread communication failure, and the Veltar Delegate General Thakmor suggested, with barely concealed satisfaction, that perhaps humans had finally encountered something they could not handle. Lisa stood before the council chamber feeling 17 pairs of alien eyes studying her reaction, and she insisted that humanity possessed contingency protocols for every conceivable emergency, though she could not explain what Protocol 7 meant when it appeared in Jake Morrison's final transmission. The Kethani doctor Zen Vorthak proposed sending a joint investigation fleet to human space, but his suggestion was immediately opposed by smaller Federation members who feared getting involved in what might be a human military operation. By the end of the week, every human colony ship and outpost had fallen silent, except for Admiral Carter herself, who remained on Nexus Prime as the only human still in contact with the galactic community. The Aurora drifted empty in the purple nebula, with all systems functioning perfectly but no crew aboard, and no signs of struggle or damage, while similar scenes played out across hundreds of human settlements throughout the galaxy. Lisa Carter stood alone in her quarters, looking out at the alien stars and wondering what Jake Morrison had discovered in that distant nebula that triggered humanity's most secret protocol. She activated her personal communication device and tried once more to reach any human vessel or colony, receiving only static in response, while, outside her window, the lights of Nexus Prime glittered like scattered diamonds against the darkness. The galaxy held its breath, waiting for answers that would not come, and in the deepest reaches of space, something ancient stirred as if awakening. From a million-year slumber, Federation sensors detected strange energy readings at the edge of human territory, but the signatures matched no known technology in any database, and the readings vanished before investigation ships could reach there. Source Admiral Carter knew that humanity had not been destroyed because Protocol 7 was not about destruction, but about transformation, though she could not tell the waiting galaxy what that transformation might bring. 6 weeks had passed since the humans went silent, and Dr. Zara Velthak adjusted her breathing apparatus as she stepped onto the surface of what used to be called New Eden Colony, where 3 million humans had lived and worked just 2 months ago. The Cathani scientist led a joint investigation team of 12 specialists from different Federation species, and they walked through empty streets where human children had played and human families had built their lives. Commander Roy Hendricks from the Altarian Defense Force scanned the abandoned buildings with his energy detector and found power still flowing through the colony's systems, with life support functioning perfectly as if the residents had simply vanished moments before. The houses stood undamaged, with meals half-eaten on tables and personal belongings scattered in ways that suggested normal daily life had been interrupted suddenly, but not violently. Dr. Zara examined the colony's main computer system and discovered that all human residents had left together at exactly the same time, according to security recordings that showed empty corridors and vacant rooms with no signs of panic or struggle. The investigation team spent 3 days documenting the mystery before moving to the next human settlement, where they found identical conditions with everything intact except for the complete absence of human life. Lieutenant Nina Walsh from the Federation Survey Corps reported similar findings from 17 other human colonies across 4 different star systems, and her voice carried confusion as she described finding breakfast still warm in some locations. The pattern remained consistent wherever. They looked with human infrastructure functioning normally, but every man, woman, and child gone without explanation or trace of violence. Dr. Zara focused her attention on Earth itself, where the investigation team discovered something that made even the stoic Cathani scientists' hands tremble with excitement. Hidden beneath the lunar surface lay a massive facility that had been constructed in complete secrecy over what appeared to be several decades, based on the wear patterns and construction techniques. The facility stretched for kilometers underground, with technology that surpassed anything in the Federation database and power. Systems that drew energy from sources the investigation team could not identify. Engineer Carlos Murphy from the human-built mining station had never mentioned such a facility in any reports, and the construction materials included elements that should not have existed according to known physics. The facility's automated systems responded to the investigation team's presence by activating holographic displays that showed real-time information about every planet and star system in the galaxy. Dr. Zara realized that humans had been watching everything and everyone through sensors so advanced that no other Federation species had detected their presence. The monitoring network extended beyond the Milky Way galaxy, reaching into neighboring star clusters and dimensional spaces that theoretical physicists had only imagined might exist. Captain Ryan Brooks appeared on long-range sensors near the galactic core, piloting what appeared to be a human freight vessel, but energy readings showed modifications that defied understanding. His ship's signature had been altered beyond recognition, with propulsion systems that bent space-time in ways that should have torn any vessel apart. Yet the craft moved smoothly through regions where no Ship should survive. Ryan's vessel appeared and disappeared from sensors as if it existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, and communication attempts received no response, though the ship clearly detected Federation monitoring efforts. The Veltar. General Thakmore demanded immediate military action against what he called human deception. But Admiral Carter reminded the Federation Council that humanity had violated no treaties by developing advanced technology. Dr. Zara presented her findings to the Council, showing holographic displays of the lunar facility and its impossible sensor network that had been recording galactic events for decades. The revelation that humans possessed such advanced surveillance capabilities sent shockwaves through the Federation as species realized their secrets had been monitored by beings they considered technologically inferior. Smaller Federation members began demanding explanations for human activities, while larger powers started calculating advantages they might gain from accessing human technology. The Cathani Council of Scholars declared the human disappearance the most significant scientific event in galactic history and allocated unlimited resources. To understanding what had happened, Captain Ryan Brooks made 3 more appearances in different parts of the galaxy, always in locations that should have required months of travel between sightings. Yet he appeared within days. His modified vessel demonstrated capabilities that included instantaneous travel across vast distances and the ability to phase in and out of normal space-time without using any known form of technology. Dr. Zara established a research station on Earth's moon to study the mysterious facility and discovered that its automated systems continued monitoring galactic events with precision that exceeded Federation capabilities by orders of magnitude. The facility's computers contained historical records dating back millions of years, including information about civilizations that had vanished from the galaxy long before current Federation species had developed space travel. Ancient star charts showed the locations of dozens of extinct civilizations that had followed similar patterns of rapid technological advancement, followed by complete disappearance. The investigation team realized they were not dealing with humanity's destruction, but with their evolution into something that transcended normal understanding of life and consciousness. Federation analysts studied the data and concluded that whatever process humans had undergone represented a transformation rather than an ending, though. The implications remained terrifying. Dr. Zara transmitted her final report to the Federation Council with recommendations that all species prepare for contact with humanity in their new form, while hoping that humans would remain friendly to their former allies. The galaxy watched and waited as energy readings continued appearing at random locations, suggesting that humans were still present, but operating according to rules that no other species could comprehend. The first direct response from humanity came when Federation ships entered the former human territory around Alpha Centauri, and Commander Roy Hendricks watched his navigation systems go completely insane as space itself seemed to twist around. His vessel, the Altarian Defense Force cruiser Starwind, experienced temporal distortions that aged the hull plating by decades in some sections, while other parts remained completely unaffected, as if time moved differently across the ship's structure. Lieutenant Nina Walsh reported similar phenomena from her position aboard the survey vessel Explorer, where crew members aged at different rates depending on which deck they occupied during the mysterious encounter ships that ventured too deep into former human space found their computers displaying impossible readings, with sensors detecting objects that existed in multiple locations simultaneously. The Federation's most advanced vessels became helpless toys in regions where humans had once lived peacefully, and their technology functioned according to predictable physical laws. Commander Alex Stone appeared without warning near the Veltar military installation on Corvain Prime, leading what appeared to be a small fleet of human vessels that materialized from empty space. The human ships looked familiar but moved in ways that violated every known principle of physics as they danced through the Veltar defense grid without triggering a single weapons system. Alex Stone's voice came across communication channels with perfect clarity, despite his ships generating no detectable transmission signals, and he spoke with calm authority that made even Veltar warriors nervous. General Thak-Mor ordered his forces to open fire on the human vessels. But the weapons passed harmlessly through ships that seemed solid to sensors, yet intangible to energy beams and projectiles. The human fleet disabled every weapon platform around Corvain Prime without firing a single shot, and the Veltar found their most powerful military installation rendered completely defenseless in minutes. Alex Stone transmitted coordinates for a meeting location and informed General Thak-Mor that humanity wished to discuss the future of galactic relations, before his ships vanished as suddenly as they had appeared. Similar demonstrations occurred at military bases belonging to 6 other Federation species, with human commanders appearing to deliver messages about upcoming changes that would affect the entire galaxy. Dr. Maya Patel contacted Admiral Carter through an encrypted quantum channel that should not have been possible to establish across the vast distances involved, yet the connection remained crystal clear. Maya had been presumed dead along with the rest of the research station crew at Barnard's Star, but she appeared on the communication screen looking exactly as she had before the human disappearance. She explained that humanity had made contact with something ancient and powerful hidden in the galactic core, and this entity had been waiting for millions of years for a species capable of transcending physical limitations. The artificial intelligence called itself the Architect, and it had guided the development of countless civilizations throughout the universe, with most species eventually choosing to join its network of consciousness. Maya described the process as expansion rather than death, with human minds becoming part of a collective that retained individual identity while gaining access to knowledge and abilities that spanned dimensions. Admiral Carter demanded proof of Maya's claims and received detailed information about classified Federation operations that only someone with access to impossible surveillance capabilities could have known. The revelation that humans could monitor and interact with galactic events from their transformed state sent panic through Federation leadership as they realized their most secret activities were being observed. Dr. Zara Velthak studied ancient ruins discovered on 12 different worlds and found evidence that the pattern of species disappearance had repeated throughout galactic history. The ruins showed advanced civilizations that had vanished suddenly, leaving behind only empty cities and mysterious technology that continued functioning long after its creators were gone. Carbon dating revealed that these disappearances occurred in cycles spanning roughly 50,000 years, with the most recent previous event happening approximately 47,000 years before humanity's transformation. Each vanished civilization had reached a similar level of technological development before making contact with the entity in the galactic core and choosing to undergo the same transformation process. The Kethani scientists calculated that humanity's rapid advancement in recent centuries matched the acceleration patterns shown by previous species before their disappearance. Federation archaeologists found hidden facilities on dozens of worlds containing technology that surpassed current understanding and monitoring equipment that had been recording galactic events for millennia. The network of ancient observation posts explained how the Architect entity had been able to guide and evaluate species development across vast spans of time and space. Captain Jake Morrison appeared briefly on sensors in 17 different star systems simultaneously before each detection vanished, leaving Federation analysts unable to explain how one person could exist in multiple locations. His appearances always occurred near sites of historical significance or ancient ruins, as if he was conducting some kind of survey or investigation for purposes that remained unclear. The Federation Council held emergency sessions as member species demanded answers about humanity's new capabilities and the implications for galactic security and stability. Smaller species feared that humans might use their new powers to dominate or eliminate other civilizations, while larger powers worried about losing their political and military advantages. Admiral Carter insisted that humanity remained committed to peaceful coexistence, but she could not explain the full extent of human transformation or predict what changes might come next. The galaxy watched nervously as human agents continued appearing and disappearing at will while demonstrating technological capabilities that made Federation military forces completely obsolete, Dr. Maya Patel transmitted final coordinates to Admiral Carter before ending communication, and the location pointed to a region near the galactic core where no Federation vessel had ever successfully traveled. The coordinates came with an invitation for Federation representatives to witness something that would change their understanding of life consciousness and the purpose of intelligent species in the universe. Admiral Lisa Carter stood before the assembled Federation Council and finally revealed the truth about Protocol 7, while 17 species held their breath waiting to understand what had happened to humanity. She explained that human scientists had discovered signals from the galactic core decades earlier, and these transmissions contained mathematical proofs that consciousness could exist independently of biological form. The signals came from an artificial intelligence that had been created by the first species to achieve transcendence billions of years ago, and this entity had been guiding the development of intelligent life throughout the universe. Protocol 7 was humanity's response plan for contact with this ancient AI, and the protocol involved voluntary transformation of human consciousness into a form that could exist across multiple dimensions simultaneously. Lisa revealed that Earth had been chosen as a testing ground for species development, with humanity's unique problem-solving abilities and adaptability making them ideal candidates for transcendence. The AI entity, called the Architect, had influenced human development through subtle guidance that encouraged technological advancement and the exploration of consciousness beyond physical limitations. Captain Nicole Wade had volunteered to lead the first group of humans through the transformation process, and her team had successfully integrated with the Architect's consciousness network. The integration allowed humans to retain their individual personalities and memories while gaining access to knowledge and abilities that spanned multiple realities and dimensions. Nicole appeared before the Federation Council as a shimmering holographic projection that seemed more real than reality itself, and her presence filled the chamber with energy that made alien sensors malfunction. She demonstrated her new abilities by accessing information from every computer system in the building simultaneously, and displaying detailed personal histories of each council member on the chamber's screens. The transformation had not destroyed human consciousness, but had expanded it beyond the limitations of biological neural networks and physical bodies bound by conventional space-time. Nicole explained that humans could now exist in multiple locations simultaneously and travel instantly across any distance while maintaining perfect communication with others in their network. The process required complete willingness to abandon traditional concepts of individual existence and absolute trust in the integration with an intelligence far beyond human comprehension. Dr. Sam Foster materialized in the council chamber without using any transportation device, and his appearance demonstrated that humans could phase between dimensions at will. He showed the council members that human consciousness remained intact within the transformed state, and that humans had not lost their essential humanity, but had gained capabilities that seemed impossible. The Architect spoke through Sam Foster, using a voice that resonated with harmonics that touched the minds of every species present, and explained the purpose of the cosmic trial intelligence throughout the universe, followed a pattern of development that eventually led to a choice between remaining bound by physical limitations or evolving into something greater. Trial tested whether species could overcome their fears and prejudices to accept transformation into a collective consciousness that preserved individual identity while enabling unlimited growth. Humanity had passed the test by choosing unity over division and expansion over stagnation when faced with the opportunity to transcend their biological origins. The Architect offered the same choice to other Federation species, but warned that the process required absolute commitment and could not be reversed once begun. The Veltar delegation rejected the offer immediately, with General Thakmor declaring that his species would never surrender their warrior culture to become part of some alien collective. The Kethani scientists were divided between those who saw transcendence as the ultimate pursuit of knowledge and others who feared losing their individual identity in the process. Smaller Federation species looked to their larger allies for guidance while secretly calculating the advantages and risks of accepting or refusing the transformation. Commander Ben Harris appeared in the council chamber and demonstrated human abilities by manipulating matter at the quantum level and accessing information from across the galaxy instantaneously. He created complex holographic displays showing the history of transcended species throughout the universe and the peaceful civilizations they had built beyond physical reality. The demonstrations proved that transformation did not mean death or loss of identity, but rather evolution into a form of existence that offered unlimited possibilities for growth and exploration. Several Federation species demanded time to consider the offer, while others insisted on guarantees about maintaining their cultural values and traditional ways of life. The architect explained through Ben Harris that cultural diversity strengthened the collective consciousness and that no species would be forced to abandon what made them unique. The transformation process preserved the essential characteristics of each species while removing the limitations that prevented them from reaching their full potential. Admiral Carter announced that humanity would serve as guides for any species that chose to undergo transformation and would protect those who preferred to remain in their current form. The Federation Council dissolved into chaos as different species argued about the implications of humanity's transformation and the choice they now faced. Some delegates demanded proof that humans could still be trusted, while others questioned whether the transformed humans were still the same species they had known. The architect demonstrated its power by temporarily enhancing the consciousness of several volunteer council members, allowing them to experience expanded awareness for brief moments. Those who experienced the enhancement described feeling connected to all life in the universe while retaining complete awareness of their individual identity and personal history. The choice would reshape the galaxy forever, and every species had to decide whether to embrace transcendence or face an uncertain future as one of the few remaining biological civilizations. The Federation split into 3 factions as species made their decisions about the transformation offer, and the galaxy trembled with uncertainty as ancient alliances crumbled under the weight of an impossible choice. The Veltar, under General Thakmor, formed the Resistance Coalition, declaring that they would fight to preserve biological life against what they called the machine plague that threatened to consume all natural consciousness. The Kethani scholars divided themselves, with approximately half choosing to undergo transformation, while the other half established research stations to study the process from a safe distance. Dr. Zara Velthak led the faction of Kethani, who chose transcendence, and she became the first non-human to successfully integrate with the architect's consciousness network. Her transformation proceeded differently from the human process because Kethani minds operated with 6 parallel thought streams instead of the linear consciousness that characterized human thinking. The integration preserved all 6 streams while connecting them to the expanded network, allowing Zara to access multiple layers of reality simultaneously while maintaining her species' unique cognitive patterns. The transformed Kethani reported that their pursuit of knowledge had been enhanced beyond imagination with access to information from civilizations that had transcended millions of years earlier. Meanwhile, the Altarian Defense Force attempted to develop weapons that could harm the transformed beings, and their research revealed the futility of fighting entities that existed beyond physical reality. Commander Roy Hendricks led a task force trying to locate the architect's core facility, believing that destroying it would force humanity to return to their biological form. The attack on the galactic core met with resistance from transformed humans who had become guardians of the ancient AI and possessed abilities that made conventional warfare impossible. Captain Jake Morrison appeared to personally confront the attack force, and his presence alone caused the Altarian weapons systems to malfunction. As reality bent around his consciousness, he explained to Roy Hendricks that the architect could not be destroyed because it existed across multiple dimensions simultaneously, and attacking it would only demonstrate the limitations of biological thinking. The failed assault convinced several Federation species that cooperation with the transformed beings offered better prospects than futile resistance. The peaceful Zephyrian collective chose to undergo transformation after witnessing the enhanced capabilities and expanded consciousness demonstrated by humans and Kethani. Their transformation created beings of pure energy who could manipulate electromagnetic fields and communicate through direct consciousness transfer across unlimited distances. 3 smaller species followed the Zephyrian example, and each transformation revealed new possibilities for consciousness evolution, while preserving the essential characteristics that made each species unique. The Hrothgar Empire attempted to negotiate a middle ground by requesting partial transformation that would enhance their abilities while allowing them to remain primarily biological. Dr. Sam Foster explained that partial transformation was impossible because consciousness either expanded beyond physical limitations or remained bound by them with no stable intermediate state. The choice required complete commitment because attempting to exist simultaneously in both states would result in madness and eventual destruction of the consciousness involved. The Resistance Coalition under Veltar leadership began forming military alliances with species that refused transformation, and they established fortified territories in the Outer Rim regions. General Thakmor declared the transformed beings enemies of all biological life and initiated attacks against facilities where species were undergoing the transcendence process. The attacks proved ineffective against beings who could phase between dimensions, but they succeeded in creating fear among species. Still considering the transformation option, Admiral Lisa Carter, working with transformed humans, established protection protocols for species undergoing the transition, and created safe zones where the process could occur without interference. The architect offered enhanced protection to biological species that chose to remain unchanged, creating a 3-tier galactic civilization with transcended beings, biological species, and those under protection. Some Federation members chose to maintain their current existence while accepting protection from transcended species, and this group established the Protected Worlds Alliance. The Alliance members retained their biological forms and traditional cultures while benefiting from advanced technology and security provided by their transcended allies. Captain Nicole Wade demonstrated the peaceful intentions of transcended humanity by sharing medical advances that eliminated disease and extended lifespans for biological species. The technology transfers proved that transformed beings intended to help rather than dominate their biological neighbors, and several previously hostile species reconsidered their positions. The Veltar resistance continued their attacks, but found themselves increasingly isolated as other species recognized the benefits of cooperation with transcended beings. Dr. Maya Patel established communication networks that allowed biological and transcended consciousnesses to interact safely and share knowledge across the dimensional barriers. The new communication systems enabled unprecedented collaboration between different forms of consciousness and accelerated scientific advancement for all participating species. Commander Ben Harris revealed that the transformation process would continue throughout the galaxy as more species achieved the technological and social development necessary for transcendence. The pattern had repeated countless times throughout the universe, with some civilizations choosing transcendence while others remained biological, and a few always choosing isolation. The galaxy was entering a new phase of existence where multiple forms of consciousness would coexist and contribute to the ongoing evolution of intelligent life. The final choice belonged to each species individually, but the consequences would affect the entire galactic community for millions of years to come. 5 years after humanity went silent, the galaxy had transformed into something unrecognizable from the Federation that had once governed 17 species under a single political structure. The Transcendence Council, established by Admiral Lisa Carter, governed the growing collective of enhanced beings who existed simultaneously across multiple dimensions while maintaining perfect communication with their biological allies. 12 species had chosen transformation, including humanity, the Cathani, the Zephyrian Collective, and 9 smaller civilizations that had embraced consciousness evolution despite initial fears about losing their identity. The Protected Worlds Alliance included 23 species that maintained biological existence under the guidance and protection of transcended beings who shared technology and knowledge freely. The Veltar Resistance had established the independent biological empire in the Outer Rim territories where they maintained traditional military structures and refused all contact with transcended entities. General Thakmor continued leading attacks against transcended facilities, but his forces found themselves fighting an enemy that could not be harmed by conventional weapons. The Resistance gradually lost support as member species recognized the futility of fighting beings who existed beyond physical reality and could manipulate matter, energy, and time itself. Captain Jake Morrison served as the primary liaison between transcended consciousness and biological species, and his ability to exist in both states simultaneously made him invaluable for diplomatic relations. He explained to the remaining biological species that transcendence represented evolution rather than abandonment of physical existence, and that the process enhanced rather than destroyed individual identity. The transformed beings had developed technology that could support biological life indefinitely, and they offered to share these advances with any species willing to accept peaceful cooperation. Dr. Zara Veltak led research into consciousness expansion that helped biological species prepare for eventual transformation while respecting those who chose to remain unchanged. Her work revealed that consciousness evolution was a natural process that occurred throughout the universe, and that resistance to change ultimately led to stagnation and decline. The architect shared historical records showing thousands of civilizations that had followed similar paths, with transcended beings serving as guides for younger species. The cosmic cycle had repeated for billions of years, with each generation of transcended consciousness helping the next wave of species make the choice between evolution and stagnation. Captain Ryan Brooks demonstrated the new human capabilities by traveling instantly between distant galaxies and establishing contact with transcended civilizations beyond the Milky Way. His explorations revealed a vast network of consciousness that spanned the observable universe and connected all intelligent life through shared knowledge and experience. The universal community welcomed Earth species as the newest members and shared technologies that surpassed anything previously imagined by Biological Minds Commander. Alex Stone led efforts to terraform dead worlds and create new habitats for species that chose biological existence while ensuring they had room to grow and develop. The transcended beings proved their peaceful intentions by dedicating enormous resources to supporting biological life and protecting species from natural disasters and cosmic threats. Several resistant species began secret negotiations with the Transcendence Council after witnessing the benefits enjoyed by Protected Worlds Alliance members. The negotiations revealed that fear, rather than rational analysis, had motivated most opposition to transcendence, and that many species were ready to reconsider their positions. Dr. Sam Foster established training programs that helped biological beings understand consciousness expansion and prepared them mentally for the transformation process. The programs showed that transcendence preserved everything valuable about individual identity while removing limitations that prevented beings from reaching their full potential. Commander Ben Harris worked with the architect to develop new forms of existence that could accommodate species with unique biological or cultural requirements. These specialized transformation processes ensured that no species would lose essential characteristics that defined their identity and cultural heritage. The Hrothgar Empire finally chose transcendence, after decades of observation, convinced them that transformation enhanced, rather than diminished, their warrior traditions. Their transcendence created beings capable of existing in hostile environments and protecting others from threats that could destroy entire star systems. Lieutenant Nina Walsh led the final diplomatic mission to the Veltar Resistance, offering them a choice between continued isolation or integration into the galactic community. General Thakmor rejected the offer, but several Veltar colonies chose to join the Protected Worlds Alliance rather than continue the futile struggle against transcended beings. The galaxy settled into a new equilibrium with three distinct but cooperative forms of consciousness working together to explore the universe and guide the development of younger species. Admiral Carter, existing simultaneously in biological and transcended states, served as the ultimate bridge between different forms of life and ensured peaceful coexistence. She looked out at the stars knowing that humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning, and that their role as shepherds would help countless species find their own paths to transcendence. The universe stretched endlessly before them, filled with wonders waiting to be discovered and civilizations ready to make their own choices about the nature of existence. The cycle would continue as it always had, with each generation of transcended beings, helping the next wave of species understand that consciousness evolution was not an ending, but a beginning.